we go. I'd like to call the work session meeting to order, please. Roll call.
Mayor Romanek?
Here.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Here.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Here.
Commissioner Watson?
Here.
Commissioner Ranello?
Present.
Can we please stand to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, was advertised, posted, and made available to the public as required by statute. The municipal clerk is directed to include a statement in the minutes of this meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, Mayor.
Any presentations?
We have none this evening.
Public comment on agenda items only. If anybody would like to address the commission, please come up to the podium. Seeing none, I will close public comment on agenda items only. Discussion of commissioners.
Okay, so we have the best practices survey discussion by Susan Quinona, CFO. Just want to make sure that mic's on.
Yeah.
The green light should be on. No?
I'm gonna tap it, Susan.
All right, good evening. Best practice and inventory for 2024. All commissioners have received a copy prior to our last meeting, and we adopted Resolution 299-2024 certifying the review. Local Finance Notice 2024-13 was released September 18th of 2024. The Best Practices Survey was due by Friday, October 25th, but a review of this was not required prior to submittal. It's submitted via the FAST portal, which is the New Jersey Division of Local Government Services reporting portal. The best practices inventory must be reviewed with the governing body at a public meeting. There were 69 total questions this year. 52 were scored, 17 were unscored survey, for a total possible points of 46.5 points. So some of them were half points. Every entity must have a minimum score of 35 for no withholding of state financial aid. The City of Millville score was 42, so there's no withholding of state financial aid. Almost, so we have 42 out of 46 and a half, which is a very good score. The only state aid, I just want to note that the City of Millville would be considered receiving is our energy receipts tax payments. In all reality, that really shouldn't be considered state aid. That's money that should be coming back to the municipalities, but has been held a little bit more on the state end, predominantly for a large number of years. But that is what they would try to withhold from us. The unscored survey questions this year focused on affordable housing, and a lot of that was due to the fourth round that was recently just announced. Municipal-owned broadband services, lead remediation, shared services, special improvement districts, and transparency. These questions are a tool by the state to monitor and gain insight into each municipal entity's activities and accomplishments in these specific areas in question. Depending on the program and service in question each year, unscored survey questions at times do become scored questions in future best practices. One example of that would be questions regarding electric and or hybrid vehicles and municipal charging stations for electric vehicles. Scored questions focus on areas in which each municipality should already be adhering to regulations already in place or the best practices to ensure that compliance and services to the taxpayers are being upheld. So as such, each commissioner should thoroughly review the best practices inventory to ensure that we continue to uphold our existing policies and procedures, and to be aware of those areas that the state is currently focused on that may need attention in the future. Yet again, a lot of it is dependent on what goes on with the times. Some of it may go by the wayside, but some of it might be something that they're looking for and they're going to score in future inventories. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hewitt, you have anything?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Watson.
Yeah, I do have a discussion I would like to bring up for the 202 South Wade Boulevard property.
It's also in closed session to discuss some of the terms as the agreement was sent over. Bringing it to, obviously, the public and the rest of the commissioners, keeping everybody up to date. So we toured this building a couple weeks ago. This building has multiple offices, has a small kitchen. The building was put up in 2003, 2004. Has roughly about 12,000 square feet, which includes about 10,000 square feet being warehouse. Has large garage doors, big enough to even put IM9 in. I believe they're about 14 or 15-foot doors. Like I said, it looks like a really great building. The owner's been really good to work with, very open with communications, readily available. So thank him for that. It looks turnkey and it's kind of like tailor-made to, the needs. It definitely checks off a lot of boxes that we discussed previously in the year about the departments and what each of them need. And like I said, it's going to be on closed session to discuss the purchase details. What I would like to do is in the closed session get to a certain point, get everybody's opinion, and maybe get working on the access agreement to allow first phase of environmental. Property listing price is, well, the price that we agreed to is 1.55.
So if we already agreed to a
Million.
price, what are we discussing in closed session? The negotiation's already done.
They're not done because there's a proposed contract that the commission needs to see, and they need to indicate whether or not that's something they want to do or not,
So, well,
and whether any of the terms should be changed.
Right, if these
All right,
terms
so-
don't meet the needs of what we have, then I don't see move forward with environmentals.
all
like
right,
any
so-
other
okay.
contract.
All right, so I have a couple other questions. First, the square footage. I know other buildings we looked at, that 18,000 square foot wasn't enough, but now 12,000 is. So I guess our space requirements have changed. Second is the price per square foot. Third, I'm a little confused why you're going for an access agreement now, and while you only asked engineering today to inspect the building, as you know, you've been through this before. So you know that we need to do environmentals, and we need to have the building inspection. If you guys recall, you looked at a building at the airport that you were considering buying. After engineering inspected it and found flaws, 2 months later, the roof of the building collapsed. So what I really kind of have a problem is, I'm looking at this email, and it says, Commissioners, addressed to you and Commissioner Ranello. Here's a purchase and sale agreement for the purchase by the city of the Galdelli Brothers Building at 202 South Wade Boulevard that you asked me to prepare. Pursuant to your instructions, I have not discussed this matter with any other commissioner or city official or employee. So it's a little concerning that you wouldn't discuss it with the CFO to see if what you wanted to do was financially feasible, that you wouldn't have previously discussed it with engineering, and that, well, I'll just leave it at that. So I don't know, I hear a lot about transparency. I just started a little thing about transparency there. And when you're telling and you're not disclosing to other city employees and other city officials that you're looking at a building, I think that's something to worry about.
Yeah, I'll address that. Transparency. So originally, this building's not listed for sale. It was kind of word of mouth. As soon as we found out about it, I did the research and I got a number. I called the regular business number. Set up a meeting with him. Said that he would consider, selling to the city, and we put a meeting together that week. Like I said, this was 2 weeks ago. We went over. Commissioner Ranello went over with me, just so we can have a couple of us in the loop, get differences of opinion. And the building looked great. But there was a lot of things that we had to work out, and we wanted to make sure that moving forward and using our resources, that this was an acceptable piece of property to do that with. We understood that the square footage was going to be high, and we wanted to compare it to the other options that we've had. There was another option that was presented to us about building on somebody's private land, and we were also evaluating that. And before we came forward and started getting everybody involved, I wanted to make sure that we chose the best way to go.
And who did the negotiations?
Negotiations?
Yeah, who did the negotiations for the price? The original price was 1.6 million, and you negotiated it down to 1.55.
That was verbally expressed to us from the seller. And when we started talking about comparables to what the other square
we?
footage prices,
Who's we?
myself, Commissioner Ranella, meeting with Brock,
Okay.
We were trying to feel out where he was going to be, and the seller came back with that price.
You guys ever negotiate commercial real estate before? Just curious.
No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Just wanted to add that I was very excited to see that this seller wanted to sell this building, considering this was on the list given to me by Vice Mayor of buildings that were possible to look at, and unfortunately, it wasn't available for sale at that time. So seeing that it was now available, I was very excited about that. So,
And also, it was kind of nice to work out some of the details and to see if the seller was, available and open to, having the city agree to a lease. And a lot of things went in consideration with that, including a one-time move. Instead of leasing one property and having our, hardworking staff using their time, move from one area back to a permanent solution, we were trying to cover all the bases and have the answers for you for tonight's meeting.
Okay, so did you talk to the CFO about a lease or anything? I'm just curious.
Not
Okay.
at this time.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Ranella,
no, that's all I have.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Nothing at this time.
Nope. A lot to talk about in the regular session. I do not have anything else. Any new business?
No, Mayor.
We have now reached the public comment portion of our meeting. Anyone who would like to address the commission, please come to the podium, state your name, and address your concerns. Please limit your comments to approximately 5 minutes. Thank you.
This question is for Mr. Watson. Just to reiterate it, have you ever purchased a piece of property before of this magnitude? Have you ever negotiated such a contract? And do you know what's involved in negotiation of these type of contracts? You did a very good job of patting yourself on the back, and I like to understand the credibility and the understanding and the experience that you have, whereby fortifying your resume so you could put forward your experience to basically solidify your statement that you did an excellent deal. So do you have any experience or not? This is the first time?
I did my best.
You did your
With the
first time, so you
experience
have
that
no
I had.
experience. Okay, thank you, Mr.
If you
Watson,
would
I
let me
appreciate
answer your
that.
question, I have no problem answering your question.
I'm sorry?
One
Ma'am,
person speaking.
I'm speaking.
Mr.
Just
DeSantis,
have a
please
seat.
address the commission.
So you have no experience. So you think you're working in the best interest of the city?
Trying
Okay.
to.
Ms. Ranello, have you ever purchased a piece of property of this size?
No,
This
sir.
magnitude? No, it's the first time. So how do you, what are your assertions that this is a very good price?
Comps.
Comps, I see $125 a foot. Are you looking at what's available on the market or what you closed? Because I know what I purchased in the city of Millville, which is well over 2 million square feet, and I've never, ever seen an existing, used, old building that I was involved into the purchase of for that kind of money.
I know, this building.
I mean, it's 120, do you know what it costs to put up a new building?
About $120 to $150.
So you're
per
gonna
square
pay the same price to purchase an old building that probably needs improvement, that probably has asbestos, that may have contamination, being that it's in the city of Millville, which Brock could, reassure and reaffirm my statements that you need to go through definitely a phase 1, possibly a phase 2 environmental, if they catch it. If they don't catch it, you're personally gonna put the city on the hook for this contamination, whereby me, as a citizen of Millville,
Do you live here?
I pay taxes here, Mr. Watson, a lot more than you do. So yes, I do live here. Would you like to ask that question again?
Yeah.
Would you like
You
to
already
compare the
answered it.
taxes that we pay?
Please
Or
be
the-
cordial,
Or the
both.
amount of investments that I'm making towards what you're doing?
I respect that, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your understanding. Because if you want me to leave, by any means, if any of you want me to leave, tell me and I will do so.
I don't want you to leave.
No,
sir,
you
but-
want me to leave. You're forcing business out because I had you at my office or at your office here, actually, and we spoke. And I said, I'm here as a citizen of the city, and I will do anything I can to help this city. I purchased properties to put this city on the map. I've offered you the space at zero. So this gentleman can try to collect some money for the police department, the fire department, and the EMT. And you guys are blowing that money away on what, a piece of real estate? So I could step up here and say, did I or did not say I'll give it to you for free? Did I say that, yes or no?
You offered that?
Okay, I did offer it for free. So I got that much from you.
0 to no.
But now you're out there trying to spend the money. Kirk has a problem. He wants to give the police department and the MT a raise. He doesn't have the financing. I came up to the table and I offered my help. What do? You spend the taxpayers' money. Every single person in this room is paying taxes, and their taxes will go up. You want to know why it's going to go up? Because it's the only solution you put forward to pay for those expenses. What did I tell you? In order for this city to advance, you need to end debt financing. Spending hard-earned people's money on a piece of real estate.
Mr. DeSantis, thank you.
1 second.
Mr. DeSantis, thank you.
It's a waste of time and a waste of people's money.
Would you like me to answer, Mayor?
If you offer me a rebuttal.
No, you only have 5 minutes, Anthony, that's it.
Here you go. It's your choice. Hold on.
If it's my choice,
Hold on,
I
wait,
think
wait.
at the beginning of the year, when we started, publicly, when me and Kirk were put in
I'll close
position.
hold on. Seeing no one else, I will close the public comment portion of this agenda. Oh, I will reopen the public comment portion of this agenda.
Sounds good, sir.
My name is Barry Campbell. I live here in Millville. I've been here now for many years. Part of the reason why I came to this city, besides my own business, is to offer and try to be an assistance here. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I offered and volunteered to be part of the housing authority and was rejected. I was very surprised because I look around and I see in the city of Millville that there are, in terms of demographics, 60% white, so that means the rest of it is non-white. But then I look about you, for example, as to who's managing the city, and what I'm seeing is all white people. Now, there's something wrong with that picture. I'm asking you, are you intentionally discouraging non-whites to participate in the management of this city? Is that part of your agenda? I don't get it.
Sir,
No.
Barry, if
I
I may.
don't get it.
If I may, there's been, since I've been involved with this city, there has been 1, 2, 3 black gentlemen that were privileged of having these seats up here.
Good. The question is, what happened now?
Uh,
Because
There was
as
a
I
couple
see
that
it,
ran this election and they didn't get elected. That was the choice of the city, not the choice of us.
well, I volunteered, and that's your
Is-
choice to say no to me. And
Sir,
my
is-
question
is your name Barry or Audrey?
it's the same thing. Yes, it's Audley. Barry, it's Audley.
So
Barry
now I would
Campbell.
recognize your name as Barry Campbell, sir.
That
I
is
wouldn't have
correct.
recognized your name as I'm sorry, is it Aubrey or Audrey?
The reason why I use Barry, just so you know, is just what you just said. Many people butcher their first name.
Well, I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry. I wasn't sure what your name was.
I've been called Audrey, Aubrey, Audrey. I mean, so Barry is easier off
Barry.
the tongue.
Okay, thank you.
So here's my issue. I even went to the planning board, and maybe, maybe I'm seeing things, but it's all white. Is there an agenda to discourage participation of non-whites? Is there? And then if you turn to the question of qualification, let me just say this. I came from Wall Street. I was an officer in charge of financial management and planning for a $36 billion company. Besides that, besides being college educated, I'm a fellow, okay? That's like a PhD degree. I'm curious as to why Mr. Hewitt, Watson, and Ranello decided that I'm not qualified to be part of your housing authority board. I'm just curious as hell. And then it begs the question, okay? Have you been discouraging or denying other non-whites from participating? Because it doesn't make sense to me. part of the objective of the city, as I see it, is for diversity, inclusion, helping the city, whoever it is, to grow and prosper. How do you expect the best of us to help you if you discourage them? Race shouldn't be a factor, should it?
Mr. Campbell,
I
I will
ask
tell
you
you this,
that.
when I put your name on the agenda and I made the motion, I fully expected it to be seconded. I'm sure that politics got in the way of that at the last meeting. So, I can tell you that. Other than that, I can't give you an explanation of why you weren't seconded and why you weren't approved. You're definitely qualified. The Housing Authority hadn't had a volunteer in 2 years. They're having a hard time getting a quorum. So everybody up here has received another email concerning another gentleman that wanted to be on the Housing Authority. I'm not putting anybody else up. In fact, on tonight's agenda, you'll see my resignation from the Housing Authority. Part of that reason is because I'm not going to put anybody up there.
I'm sorry to hear that. This is
I
exactly.
I don't go to the Housing Authority meetings anyway, so I don't have time.
No,
for others
this
to
is
step up.
exactly my point.
But there's another gentleman that put his name in, and nobody here put his name on the agenda either. I can't explain that. Everybody got the email, so I don't know.
That is exactly my point.
I wish I had a good explanation for you, but I don't.
If people are being openly discouraged to participate, how do you expect them to help? Can you answer that,
I
please?
can answer.
Please.
I wasn't, I can answer.
Wait for the.
You can't, but you voted no.
I just said I can.
You can't. Please help me.
I didn't know, you're identifying yourself as Barry Campbell publicly. There was another name that I,
What does
because
that
we
have-
don't know who,
Only
we're
one
not going to just
person.
appoint people. You have to see their qualifications, et cetera. It's a different name, sir.
No,
I see. So what do I do
We had
now?
a problem before when we were going to put somebody on the board. They didn't want to basically tell us what they thought and how they felt. And they got all upset about that when we asked them questions. But nobody asked him anything.
I didn't know it
Nobody
was,
looked.
No.
I didn't know it was him.
So, well, regardless of who it is, when you check,
Only one person at a time. One person at a
so
time.
that's about all I have for that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
You're using multiple names.
I just encourage you, that
Thank you.
for the betterment of the city, let's look past race and politics and so on. Let's try to have people who are qualified. And if they try to help you, just give them a chance to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Good evening, Angeline Broomhall, Millville. Commissioner Sui, you said we tried to interview someone before. You tried to interview me. I was already a sitting member of the zoning board.
Up for reappointment.
Correct, I was already a sitting member. You cannot remove a sitting member without cause. To interview someone who's already a sitting member
don't have to reappoint
was
them,
ridiculous,
thank
which is what I explained to you when you interviewed me. Had you chose not to go any further, that seems like it was a personal attack against me. And considering that the zoning board, and I believe the planning board too, but I'll speak definitely on the zoning board flipped, I would suggest you go check to see how many people Mr. Sui appointed there in their race. Now, Aubrey Campbell. Has anyone other than you, Mr. Sui, ever heard of an Aubrey Campbell? No. So, how would you know what race they would be?
Thank you, Ms. Brumo. I'll now close the public comment portion of the work session. We will now get to closing comments of commissioners. Commissioner Hewitt,
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Ranello,
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Watson,
Debating. I think, after you presented yourself, Mr. DeSantis, a couple of things stuck to me. I didn't write anything down when you were talking, but one of the things that you said was I take credit for everything I do to try to, fulfill my career or whatever it was, and that's not the fact. I'm very comfortable where I am for my full-time career. I came back to the city because it's my home, and that's why I'm here trying to be involved the best I can. As far as being open, I think there's been many presentations made all year trying to go through and look at the best move that we can for the 15th Street relocation. I think that we've evaluated a lot of different buildings, and just with the time frame and how this was presented to us, it's very new. And that's why a presentation has been made. But, we're trying to be as open as we can with the public. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Watson. Vice Mayor Sui.
Nothing now, thank you.
Neither do I. We'll continue on the meeting. Resolutions, please.
Okay, we have a resolution authorizing a closed session for the following matter: discussion of Hardenberg Insurance under contract negotiations and attorney-client privilege, and also the discussion of potential purchase of 202 South Wade Boulevard, also under contract negotiations and attorney-client privilege.
Make motion.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second on resolutions 16.1. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ranello?
Yes.
Mayor Romanek?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.